All right, so today I want to talk about a tweet from Adam Vaughn and Free People here on Twitter responds by saying, I mean, he's a former military, current police officer. Um, I mean, for those who don't know Adam Vaughn is a complete idiot, especially when it comes to guns. And I mean, if you see some of his tweets when it comes to guns and gun control, it's like his account is run by like a pro gun person who's trying to make like anti-gun people look stupid. Like, I mean, he's got the classic, tweeting about why does anybody need an AK-47? That's what he tweeted out the other day, and like, you're so ignorant you don't even realize an AK-47 is already prohibited. And then he brings up in the comments, oh well, you can get a gun similar to an AK-47 with a 5 round mag. Well, do you understand how insane that is? Like, um, an AK-47 is a select fire weapon. Like, are you honestly willing to argue that a semi-automatic weapon with a 5 round magazine is comparable to a fully automatic gun with at least a 30 round magazine? Like, are you seriously arguing that you're going to go into battle? You got two sides. One of them has 5 round semi-auto magazines, and the other side has 30 round full auto magazines. Like, the 5 round side is going to get destroyed, right? Unless they're like, Navy SEALs going up against, teenage girls, right? Like, it's absolute insanity. And like I say, Adam Vaughn's a complete crazy idiot. But nonetheless, he responds by saying, I have been at 2 shooting scenes recently. The criminals waited until our marked police scout car turned onto another street away from their target. Then they shot and fled quickly, successfully. Police can't stop shootings. Most of the time, we barely even mitigate them. And that is the problem that's going on in mainly Toronto, but many big cities across Canada. I mean, even in rural areas, too, crime's a big issue in a lot of rural areas, too. Um, but specifically Toronto, right? Like, when people talk about their reasons for wanting to ban guns, they're always talking about Toronto, right? So there's many things to get into here, but again, the first one being, I think, is that we know gun control has no effect on this kind of stuff, right? And here's how we know. Um, I mean, there's many ways to know, but here's the first one. Um, if you have a restricted weapon in Canada and you have it out in public, that is already enough to throw you in jail for at least a year. I think upwards of 2 years, and that's just on the firearms charge, right? Like, most of these people are already felons, which means that'd be another charge on top of it. If you have it for the intent of using it in a crime, I would imagine that's another charge. So if you have someone who gets caught with what would be a restricted weapon in public, that's already enough to throw them in jail for at least a year or two. The problem is we're not prosecuting these people heavy enough. And this is the problem when it comes to the left, when it comes to crime, is that when it comes to them on crime, it's we need to be soft or softer on literally all crime. Like, all crime we should be softer on. And they're absolutely insane, for the simple reason that when it comes to like drug possession and non-violent crimes, I absolutely believe we should be softer. I mean, I think drug possession, no one should be in jail for that. I think selling small amounts, you probably shouldn't be in jail for that either. Yeah, I can agree with them on that. I think the majority of people do agree with them on that. The problem is we need to be harder on the violent criminals. Like, we need to be harder on them. And the fact that whenever it comes to their ways of dealing with crime, it's just, oh, let's ban the guns, right? Like, that's their only go-to thing. And yet, on the other hand, too, I mean, the other hand, too, these people are very insane in that they'll say, like, I always bring this up with these people, and I'm like, okay, let's just say we do everything you want, and crime, it has no effect on crime, or it makes crime go up. Would you be okay with repealing all of it? And they always say no. They always say no. Why? Because they are just zealots. They don't care. They just want to ban guns. They don't care if it reduces crime. Whenever you get into debate with these people, it's so easy to show that gun control has it doesn't more gun control does not reduce crime. Like, we know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. I've made many videos proving that. I'll probably continue to make more and more. But again, the point being is that you inevitably prove these people wrong. and they inevitably end up with a whole, oh, nobody needs an assault rifle in Canada. That's insane, right? But your argument when we first got into the debate was your gun control is going to reduce crime, right? And when you prove them wrong, they have to resort to that. If I don't care what kind of gun it is, like if it's not going to reduce crime, then we shouldn't do it. Now, I would still argue it's wrong. Like, um, I believe people should have the right to keep and bear arms. But again, and this is the other thing they bring up too. Well, we're not the states. Well, you don't have the right to keep and. Well, does that stop anyone from proposing gun control in the states? Like seriously, like these people, like their arguments are so terrible. It's not even funny. Like it's not even funny. Like these are the same people that if they did live in the states, they would want gun control. They wouldn't care about the Second Amendment. They come up with, oh, the Second Amendment didn't cover assault rifles. It didn't cover high capacity magazines. Like again, like they're just they'll say whatever they need to say to try and get their point across, which their point makes no sense, which is why they always have to, or sorry, which is why they always contradict themselves, right? Like again, like I say, they always start out with, oh, it's going to reduce crime, and when you disprove that, they always retreat back to the, oh, nobody needs an assault rifle, and this is the other thing too. They always say, oh, no civilized society, people, no civilized society has people that own assault rifles. Well, here's the thing: every society has people who own first of all, they're not assault rifles, right? They're almost always semi-automatic rifles. Even the police, a lot of times, they don't even have assault rifles, right? So nobody really has assault rifles. What they're really talking about is guns that look scary. But again, every society needs to have them, even their version of this society. The problem, the thing that I really can't stand about the anti-gunners is that they're so manipulative and just lying. Like the amount of lying and manipulation that goes on is absolutely insane. And I'll tell you what I mean. Um, they always come from the point of view of, oh, we just want to ban the scary assault rifles. No civilized society should have them. But that's not what they're really saying. What they're really saying is that we just don't think that the everyday citizen should have them, right? We think that only the police should have them. But they're the same people that think that police are horribly racist, right? And, terribly corrupt, right? Like the amount of contradictions in their argument, it's not even funny. Like it's like mind-boggling that they actually can say this stuff with a straight face, right? And this is the thing too, that no society will not have like that's literally a pipe dream. There's two options, right? There's a society where any law-abiding citizen can have and obtain, let's just use an AR-15 for an example, or only the government. But those are the two options, right? So there's no society that has no assault rifles, right? Or at least no modern one. So the options are only the police, and military probably as well, but only the police or everyone, right? Those are the two options. So if you want to say only the police, just be honest about it, right? But that would the problem is that if they said it that way, that wouldn't make their argument look as good, right? Because that would completely contradict the police are terribly racist and terribly corrupt, right? Um, so again, that's one thing that also I really can't stand about them is that their argument, they're always very manipulative with their argument. And again, when it comes to crime, we need to crack down, and I think we need to give people the ability to defend themselves. Like these studies are very clear that states that adopt concealed carry, violent crime goes down in those states, right? Like violent crime goes down, and this is the problem too. That these people, I mean, you always get into debates with these people, and they're like, "Oh, show me a study that proves it," and then you'll show them the studies, and they're like, "Oh, that's just some crazy NRA guy or whatever garbage they like to bring up." But again, like you just told me to bring up a study, I brought up a study, right? Like, I mean, not to mention too, you can bring up the fact that constitutional carry states have a lower murder rate than the U.S. average, and again, that's another piece of evidence that is rather definitive. But again, there's no amount of evidence that would disprove these people because again, having a debate on the numbers is completely irrelevant. Like it's completely irrelevant because the vast majority of them are rather open and honest about the fact that they flat out admit, or the fact that they won't, um, acknowledge the fact that they don't care if it's going to reduce crime or not. They are just anti-gun zealots that are paranoid and emotional, and they just want to ban guns. They don't care about whether or not it's going to reduce crime, right? And here's the other thing too, is that they just view most of these people committing these crimes as, oh, they're just victims, right? Like, they were just terrible victims. It's not their fault. Like, again, no, like, it's just pure insanity. And the problem too is that we're going to continue to drift down this road, right? Because these big cities are overwhelmingly run by liberal-minded people. The provinces are majority run by them. The or at least, Ontario, like I say, technically isn't, but I mean, Doug Ford is pretty much as watered down as you can get when it comes to a conservative. And again, things are going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And the problem, like I say, is that these people will never admit they're wrong, right? So that's why they always just double down and double down and double down until they can't double down no more, right? And then things completely collapse. And that's pretty much the story of leftist run areas. Basically, is let's just keep doubling down until we can't double down anymore, right? So that's what I wanted to bring up today. It's just craziness that, again, if they actually wanted to reduce crime, especially in these big cities, I think the main things that they would do is um, stop pushing for gun control, start prosecuting to the fullest extent these people that are committing these crimes, um, and if anything, even get harder on them, right? That's all you really need to do. And I think the other thing too is that we need to cut down on mass immigration as well, because you look at a lot of these people committing these crimes, it's not. But I mean, let's just be open and honest about it. It's not it's almost always, I wouldn't say almost always, but they're clearly overrepresented when you look at the black and the basically the non-white or Asian population, right? And like I say, the left will seem, oh, that's racist. No, it's reality. It's not racist if it's reality, right? So again, that's the other things that we should be worried about. But the main thing is, let's stop worrying about law-abiding gun owners, and let's start prosecuting to the full extent of the law the people that are actually committing the crime. Like, it's a very simple solution. Now, is that going to fix the problem perfectly? No, but it's gonna help a heck of a lot. And I think giving citizens the ability to defend themselves more would help a lot as well. But that's probably never going to happen in Canada because we're insane. But again, those are the easy things. So anyway, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you check me out on Twitter, BitChute, and Parler. All those links are in the description, so you can find them all there.